Hello everyone, you're listening to week 58 of Monday Night Chats with Dazz, and it's good to do another stream as always. And let me turn on screen share and hop into the chat and see who's all there. Hi, Peter Birdsall, Stephen Buckner, Andrew Radcliffe, Terminator T800, Marlon Robinson, and Walk in Truth. How are all of you? And I hope you're all doing well. And by the title of the stream, I'm sure you guys are aware that I'm going to address this shutdown more. I did a little bit in the last video, but there's so much going on with it that I really want to touch on more of it. And hi, TM Films, how are you? And what really gets me about this is just how much is going on behind the scenes that's not really being spoken about. And it's crazy because I've learned so much over the years just from so many other researchers and just looking and doing my own research. But when you work in a certain field and you see certain things, it's just really saddening. And I really do feel like this is a manufactured crisis of sorts, and it's being used for the 2020 elections, but I also feel like it's also being used as an excuse essentially to collapse the economy as we know it. And I see that Walk said great and hope you're well too. And I definitely feel a lot better than I did earlier today. I felt a very, very sick earlier, but I'm thankful that after time's gone by, that a lot of it is settled. I don't know why, but for some reason I feel like I was food poisoned a few days ago, and it just feels like there's been this stomach bug just lingering since. So very quickly, just because the two tie together, and as always, I'm going to jump over to the last video, address any comments, and then come right back. And I should have screen share on, so hopefully everyone can see the comments. So when I made the video, I actually made it on the Sunday before that Wednesday, and it's kind of common for me to do that just because of time. And when I made it, there wasn't a whole lot of updates, and there was some uncertainty about how long it would last. And so I made a whole comment updating us on everything on the 6th. I'm trying to remember what day I posted this, on the 9th, because I made it on the 6th. So I said, I record this video on Sunday, January 6th, and a few things have changed since. For one thing, tax returns will be issued and SNAP funding will go until March. However, I've spoken with more furloughed employees who are affected by this. Regardless of one's politics or view of the issue of national security, I can't help but feel if this shutdown goes a while or stops, but continues to happen, it will have a negative impact on many everyday Americans. I do feel that as much of a conspiracy as it sounds, the real goal of the elite is the elimination of the middle class. And I still stand by that. I will go into a little bit more details on some of the things I've been hearing from furloughed employees I've been speaking to at work. But Black Rain commented, I see you've been reading Second Ezra's. Glad to hear you're okay from the accident. We'll pray for you. Second Ezra 15:14, woe to the world and them that dwell therein. Second Ezra 15:15, for the sword and the destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands. Second Ezra 15:16, for there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes. Second Ezra 15:18, for because of their pride the city shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. 2 Ezra 15:19, a man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their house with a sword and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation. Yes, Babylon the great is fallen. Isaiah 47:1, come down and sit in the dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon, sit on the ground. Isaiah 47:3, thy nakedness shall be uncovered. Yeah, thy shame shall be seen. I shall take vengeance, and I will not meet thee as a man. Isaiah 47:4, for as for our Redeemer, the Lord of hosts, in his name, the Holy One of Israel. Isaiah 47:6, I was wroth with my people, I have polluted mine inheritance and given them into thine hand. Thou didst shew them no mercy upon the ancient, hast thou very heavily laid thy yoke. So all of those illustrating the destruction of Babylon, and I believe what Black Rain is saying in all of this is that America very much is modern Babylon, and a lot of the judgments that will befall her were spoken of in Isaiah. Chunk of Funk 81 said, I've been following you for years. I love your work and it's appreciated. And I just want to thank Chunk of Funk. Stephen Wilder said, Dazz, very glad to hear you had no injuries from the car accident. Stay encouraged in the Lord that he has everything timed out for his larger purpose. Either quit the job or get a restraining order for George. Creepy can get real ugly fast. God bless the work you do. And yes, the world is going to get scarier as we approach the rapture of the church. Take care. And as always, I appreciate the comment. I wouldn't go as far to say that he's done enough to get a restraining order. However, I do understand what he means about creepy can get weird fast. I have plenty of personal stories that maybe someday when I'm more comfortable, I'll share about some things like that. But um, thank you, everyone who prays. Lisa wrote, excellent video. Bless you in this new year, 2019. I miss your chats. We had swimming lessons. Miss you very much. Sending love, gorgeous. And it's never a problem if you guys miss the chats. I know that Monday night is a time of primetime television. People Netflix and chill. People have family events. People have kids, whatever the case is, workouts. So it's never anything taken personally if you never come to the chat. And then Melissa wrote, giving up perfectionism is an excellent goal. Sanity matters. I'll be praying for you. May you hear what God wants for you directly. And I thank Melissa for that encouragement. Walk wrote, I don't want to get into politics, but I need to address that this is a manufactured crisis. For Trump to address the nation and declare a national emergency due to the border is disingenuous. He admitted this crisis has been going on for decades. To make matters worse, he's now punishing the innocent who will go hungry, thus creating a true crisis and national emergency. To make myself clear, I don't support either party. Both are acting like children who have zero empathy to the lower and middle class, especially those who are disabled or in serious need of money, healthcare, and the basics like food. Basically, we've been lied to. My opinion is that the wall will be used to keep us in when the economy fails. Those demanding the wall over feeding people need to see how serious this is because most people are one paycheck away from needing help. It is so easy to get caught up in the media frenzy, which has become a cross between a dog and pony show and a soap opera. I pray for those affected in the shutdown, especially those in critical need of food and medical attention. We must make our voices heard that we are not okay with punishing the weak, disabled, and hungry for a wall which most likely will be used to control us and remove more freedoms. This is supposed to be the land of the free. Each day we lose more and more of that freedom, including freedom of speech. I don't see America becoming great again. I see history repeating itself and people being deceived and letting it happen. Ecclesiastes 1:3. And I couldn't have agreed more with what Walk wrote there. I know Walk is in the chat. And I think that that is spot on with everything. I also want to point out that this is one of the worst times for certain people to run out of money because this is the winter. And even in the area I live, we're out of shelter space. We just had a terrible snowstorm. So a lot of people who are homeless have nowhere to go. And I can only imagine people who are missing paychecks for being furloughed, not just the furloughed employees, but there was a trend that I noticed from doing applications. I noticed that a lot of people were fired on the 21st with the people that were furloughed. And then you have to consider there's contracted workers who may have a government employee over them who also are being let go because it'd be too expensive to give them back pay. So that's another issue that's arising. And sorry, guys, if I've been neglecting the chat. Let me jump over and see what everyone is saying. Hi, what is the Matrix? Hi, Craig Addis. How are you? And hi, Only Time. And Only Time when I'm glad to be among Christians. I spend a lot of time on a forum of unbelievers trying to bring the light of God there, and it's difficult. And it can be difficult. A lot of people don't want to hear it. But it's good, though, that you continue to spread the gospel. And hi, Perpetuate. Didn't mean to miss your comment. And I feel like I'm skipping over. Let's see. And I see TMF said, been lurking, dealing with family related stuff at the moment. Yeah, I mean, I figure most of you guys are busy and life is just crazy. I think about like how every Monday it's a battle to even figure out, okay, how am I going to do this stream? But somehow I always manage. And TMF asked Dazz, do you think the economic reset this year then? Seems so. I think that they probably will because I just think that they want to get rid of the middle class altogether because the middle class is something I don't think they really ever wanted to keep around, but it helped with even just consumerism and mass programming, just the illusion of there being this happy middle. Because a lot of this country's foundations, too, are about how America is not like its mother nation, which was all about monarchy, kings, and queens. And so people feel like they're able to make their own destiny. They're able to make something of themselves. People come here for the American dream. And really, that's eroded. And a lot of that is still, as much as people don't like to look at it, I still think a lot of it is deterministic because, like, your zip code determines your health often. Your zip code determines your educational opportunities, and your zip code determines who you know. And some people have positions because of who they know rather than what they know. And Perpetuum wrote, I don't blame Trump, though. He doesn't hold all the power and he isn't the master souls of men. Yeah, I mean, I think that, in saying that this shutdown is silly, it's not a matter, I would say, just pointing the finger at him, but I will say that, Democrats are also causing this too. And, it's hard because for a lot of people I've been speaking to who have been furloughed, many of them, like one person I spoke to had worked one place for 15 years. And, it just shows like what Walk was saying. A lot of people are just one paycheck away from poverty. Some people are one or two paychecks away from homelessness. And I remember even Thursday, I learned that apparently in Kansas City, where I am, that about 12,000 people are on a wait list for transitional housing. And these are people that are without homes. So I'm thinking to myself, that's like 12,000 people there that are homeless that are on a waiting list. How many more are there? And Walk said Trump gave the Congress and Senate a $10,000 raise while other state workers don't get a cent during the shutdown. It is pretty sick. And I know everyone keeps going on about the back pay, but what about those who are working without pay? And it's crazy that you have people filing for unemployment now. Hi, Nixie. I cannot talk today. How are you? It's good to see you in chat. And I see Nick said won't be here long playing Call of Duty, Black Ops, or Blackout mode. That's funny. And I see what is the Matrix at 11 in chat at 811. Interesting. And sorry everyone if like I am tripping over my words a bit. I talk on the phone all day and today I ran my mouth on the phone so my voice just kept going out, which makes it difficult when it comes to making videos and being on a stream. And Melissa said it has turned into a nightmare. That's really how I feel too. Only time said Jesus prophesied 2,000 years ago that his word is going to be preached to the whole world, and it happened and still is happening. How could he have known? He had to truly be Christ. Very true. Walk said Trump also got exactly what he asked for, which was 1.6 billion for the wall, and then changed his mind. Now it is a national security. He is creating a crisis. I do think he is manufacturing a crisis for sure. Craig said, once I saw Trump visiting hoax shooting victims and saying that he wants to get the guns first and then ask questions. I went from 98% traitor to USA to 110% traitor. Melissa said the shutdown is a game for a bigger agenda. Don't know what though. And TMF said, my mom just got stage 1 breast cancer. They found it in a good time, but it always sucks. Now I gotta deal with the corrupt doctors and medical practice. It's frustrating. Cancer is a big business. Sorry to hear that, TMF. If you want to, since we always pray toward the end, I can pray about that, but I really agree with you there. It's such a terrible racket in hospitals and with physicians, just how much, they try to suck you dry or family members dry because of something like that. Craig said, I could on and how Trump is the Luciferian zealot to the Catholic Church and Zionist Israel. And I see that walk is also relating to TMF on her mom and grandmother who had breast cancer. And that's really awesome, Walk, that your grandmother beat it, because I don't hear too many stories like that, but that's awesome. Perpetuant wrote, my country is a democracy. This election there was a clean sweep. The side that won was forced to put in an oppositional seat. It's so that the country has balance of sorts. That's right, you're in Barbados too. I don't know too much about you guys' government, but it's good though that you guys had a more fair election there. Only Time said, have you seen the 10-year-old drag kid posing with a naked guy? It's shocking. I actually haven't. I might have seen it on a video because I think I finally went through my subscriptions and saw that. That's just straight up pedophilia. That's disgusting. But these are the times that we're living in too. And Perpetuant said it's law that we must have opposition. And you're welcome, TMF. And I see Walk saying, this country is a republic, not a democracy. I would say so for the United States. And Only Time said, have you heard of DC Comics mocking the second coming of Christ? No, I actually haven't. What did they do lately? If you guys have any links or anything you can post it. If I Google it, will it come up first, or is this something that happened quite a while back? And two, something else that I wanted to bring up too, just in relation to the shutdown while I'm still thinking about it, is that something that I'm having to do, at least at work, which is tough, is so this is what worries me with the food. And I'm definitely someone who believes if someone can afford to buy their own food, then they should do everything in their power not to have the government giving them the supplemental money to buy it. But some people simply need, a few extra dollars, but it's supposed to be supplemental, not dependent. But with like SNAP or food stamps, what I found is that so the media said that there's funding till February. That's what I read everywhere. And they said that for a lot of government programs. About 38 million Americans depend on it. At my job, at least in the state of Missouri, because I actually work with the state of Missouri and Kansas, so I get to see sort of how it works on both states, but it's going to be similar in Kansas. What I was told is that people, at least here in this state, um, they're going to get their benefits a month early. And what they have, they're going to get it by the 20th of January, and it's supposed to last them until March, possibly late March. So they have to somehow stretch it for 2 months. Now, a lot of people aren't aware of this. They're going to think that they're getting extra or something, and they're going to spend it all, and then they're going to have nothing for February, possibly nothing for most of March. And even if the government were to reopen, I was told, they're still going to have to hold on to that for about 2 months, which for a lot of people is difficult. So I'm just thinking about how, with that being said, how some people may be upset that they're unable to eat. And I think about how upset people get when they're hungry. Since I also work at a food bank, we had this massive email go out that they need to change the eligibility requirements for a lot of the pantries so that more people can access it. But I just wonder what would happen if you have too many people that are going to pantries to get food and they run out. Will they start having to ration it? And so, one thing I've been thinking more and more about with all of this is just for everyone in the chat, regardless of where you are economically, some of you guys are better off than others, some not so much. And some of you probably have been doing this, but stock up on food. Make sure that you have the basic essentials, non perishable items, because I just feel like in the next few months it's going to get bumpier. And I feel like there's not going to be the same access to food as we've had now. And I worry about a lot of people starving and what that's going to do to just relations between people and what it's going to do to people. Like, people will start acting like zombies if they're starving. And I think, shows like The Purge, all of these zombie shows out there, they've been programming. So when people do start starving, they do start acting crazy. We could see riots, we could see looting. 38 million Americans isn't the entire country, it's just a tiny percentage. But I believe it was, I can't remember her, I think her name is Prepper Princess. I think I saw one of her videos and she broke it down even better that, too, if this goes on longer and longer, certain subsidies on food could also create higher prices on food or inflation on food. So, um, like a loaf of bread would go to be $25, or getting like ground beef might become $40. So just food that we basically eat could become more expensive, and that's something I'm worried about, is mass food insecurity for many Americans and what that will do to them mentally and emotionally, and just mass chaos. And this is why it's so important too that we're prayed up in the spirit also. But that's something I feel is that if you have the means, store up on what you can: water, beans, rice, canned food, just things that won't perish, things that will last. Because if they manufacture a crisis, then that's going to be one of the harder things, is not being able to eat. And then they'll have to ration things. And this is all to have martial law. And sorry if I went on a bit of a tangent, and let me read some more of you guys' comments that you've been writing. Craig wrote, I believe we are either in the tribulation or it is starting real soon, especially with Bible changes and other Mandela effect changes, maps, logos, names, etc. What is the Matrix wrote, what we seem to be seeing is a new Sodom seeking to spread its decadence to the world over. Yes, it's just sickening, like that cover. And I'm almost hesitant to pull it up. Do you guys know where it came from? I just don't want to type in the word to get some weird website or something to pop up. But do you know like what magazine or whatever it was advertised on so I can pull it from? Because if I try to describe it, I just don't even want to know what to come up, and then I don't want to subject your eyes to anything that we wouldn't want to see, like that one week when I got hacked on the stream. Perpetuant said the comics always mock God and dabble with the origins of God theory. Only Time said, it's beyond imagination, few words. They say Jesus failed when he came first time. God locked me for all these 2,000 years, and now God's seen the Son of Man, a hero on earth. It's beyond magic. Okay, same comment again. And what is the Matrix said alongside a technological Tower of Babel, which says man will be equal with God. And I know we talked about this last week, but did many of you see the Tower of Babel at all as something like the Hadron Collider or particle accelerator? Or did something, it's what people try to build, I guess what NASA tries to build with a rocket ship? Only Time said, now God will send Jesus Christ on the earth to be like that hero because this is what God wanted for Jesus for his first time. Agreed. And Melissa said, good time to fast. It is a good time to fast. And you know, a lot of people will too have to fast. But I'll say when you're starving and you're not like fasting and you're not seeking God, the things that it does physically and mentally are not pretty to people. And the average Joe in America is not fasting when they're not eating. And I'm just amazed by how many people around me say they get hangry, and I actually do see them get hangry. They get hungry when they get angry when they're hungry, and I don't want to be anywhere near these people if there's a food shortage. Only Time said people are already zombies being brainwashed by the sick society and its sick leaders. Very true. I just don't want to see them act like the horror movie type of zombies that actually like act like cannibals or even just like have no regard for people's like personal space and like will beat somebody up. Walk said, people will kill for food, things will be bad. I went through Sandy and people acted badly. That had to be rough. I remember seeing just like the footage from Hurricane Sandy, and you know, any natural disaster is just, it brings out, you know, you can see heroes and you can see villains whenever stuff like that happens. And, you know, that's another thing that I've been thinking about too is like with this shutdown, what happens if there's another massive natural disaster? Where is the money going to come for that? And how is the response time going to be? They have the excuse now that they may not be able to get to people as fast because of the shutdown. What is the Matrix said? I've been thinking about the wall and the rule of law and the spirit of lawlessness. TMF said, I've been trying to train myself to fast every day or every other day, so going about 13 to 16 hours without eating. Good habit to get into now, I think. I agree, and it's interesting you brought that up, TMF, because I have a coworker who's into intermittent fasting. And, you know, I know a lot of people who do feel the need to eat like 3 meals a day. I unintentionally, just because of how I have such a poor way of living sometimes, but because I go to bed so late, I go to bed around like 11 or 12 because I can't sleep. I usually wake up around 4:45, right before 5 a.m. I usually don't have any breakfast. I just drink coffee. That is my breakfast. And then my lunch is my first meal for the day. When I was even younger, I would just eat dinner and maybe small snacks throughout the day. But um, that's another way too, so you don't depend on as much. And then also, I believe in just like spiritual fasting to build our relationship. But yeah, I mean, I think too that's another part of the programming, and it's getting us so used to food. And you know, one thing I learned from going on a trip I took is that the cheapest food is the least filling. So like when you eat a bunch of junk, it makes you want more junk, and they purposely, of course, put the chemicals in there that make you crave it. It's like a drug. Whereas when you eat actual real food, you feel full and you don't feel like you have to eat like a whole bunch of it. And most food, of course, that they market to us and that most people can afford is fake food. And it just creates more and more hunger, even though it's not as nutritional. It doesn't really help people. It can cause disease and problems. Block said they are printing too much money and eventually the economy will go bust. They know this. Very true. And I really think about that because I just wonder what people will do this time around if it does go bust. I know last time, I mean, I guess I'm thinking back to the Great Depression of the 30s. People were committing mass suicide. I wonder how many people will do that now. I had a weird application that I did with one man when I started out in September, and he was telling me how the economy was really bad, how people were committing suicide, and it was just so weird. It was like an omen, but it just made me think about that and talking about it. Melissa said, I have been fasting since the 1st of January for practice. That's awesome. Only Time said, fasting is very good. What is the Matrix said, Flints and the other Boy Scout equipment? Perpetuant said, just checking your view. City walls are biblical. On the other hand, true freedom, as we know, as Christians need barriers also. His idea to put a wall for me was sound, but there's always an alternative. I guess to Perpetuant, I think some people are just thinking about the cost of it. And I mean, I guess a lot of money gets pumped into a lot of other programs, but just with everything else going on, and then a lot of us feel like when it's built, even though I would say that there would be a lot of jobs that could be created in that short span of time to build that wall. Say he does actually build a steel wall. Steel is actually produced by coal. He could actually bring back jobs to mining towns, which seems like, jumping back in time. But I think about all of the health risk and stuff that went into that. And eventually, if things go bust, a lot of people would want to leave the country and they probably wouldn't be able to because now here's this big steel barrier keeping them in. Melissa said fasting is good when you pray and read the Bible. Agreed. Craig wrote, Dazz, can you play part of the video from Michael Criswell? John 17:7 challenge. I can in a bit. I'm going to try to get to more of the count just because I'm a little bit behind. Walk said it is estimated that the wall would be around $30 billion. Mexico is not paying for it. We will. And yeah, that's the thing is, he won on that promise, but it's going to come more out of taxpayers' dollars than it is. And Perpetuant said, never understood why printing too much money did that. I believe it's probably because it's inflation and just there's too much of it. It gets devalued. And what does the Matrix say? Yes, that makes creepy sense. Collider as Babel. And Walk said it causes superinflation, printing so much money. And I'm laughing because Walk said that right after I replied to it like that. Well, way before, but just now getting to it. And sorry, guys, if I skip any comments. I try to make sure I address everyone in the chat, at least. Craig said, we are just cookies to God, his creation. It's real funny and truthful and interesting. Take on what we are to God. Perpetuant said, fasting is not starving. Agreed. Yeah, fasting isn't. They may be worse. And Melissa said, get out of the cities. I definitely think it's not safe to be in a city. But sadly, a lot of people are in cities. And I feel like people that live in cities and only know cities are going to be some of the worst off. Walk said, I'm learning living off the land and finding where we could get food if we need to. There are plenty of Canadian geese here in waters to fish. That's good. That's something that I definitely think, too, is a good skill to have in times of a economic collapse or if we had to go back in time is hunting and knowing how to get your own food. Because part of paying for food at the grocery store is that someone else has hunted, skinned it, prepared it, packaged it. Only time said I live in Europe and in a country where Christianity is still the foundation of our beliefs. That's awesome. TMF said CERN is definitely Tower of Babel 2.0. I have no doubts. I would definitely say that with that, it does make a lot of sense too on how they thought they were gonna be able to get into heaven. And I'll never look at particle accelerators again the same after learning of what CERN is doing and the Hadron Collider. Craig said, Dazz, go to a minute mark 253 is the beginning of Cookies to God. And I'll get there in just a minute. And hi, Nathaniel, how are you? It's good to see you in the chat. And then Team F said, coffee drinker Dazz. Yep, I can't go without coffee. I know it's not the healthiest thing. There's a lot of unhealthy things that, if I had to give up, I would. But that's something that I definitely drink is coffee. It keeps me running at 4 in the morning. What is the matrix of this society got us so warped? It's clearer and clearer that our only hope is the light of God through Christ Jesus. Very true. Yard899 said, hello, ladies and gentlemen, troll and Jesuit bile. I love your entrance, Yard8. I hope you're doing well. And Yard8 said that they fasted 10 days before, maybe about 8 years ago. I would love to work up to 10 days of fasting. I feel like I'm scrolling past comments again. What does the Matrix say? Tell Nehemiah the government is hiring. I feel like I missed something with that comment. And Yardape said, but then again, it was more of a spiritual health reason than losing weight. I don't recommend it for weight loss too. I definitely don't think I would. And Craig said 4 or 5 hours of sleep doesn't seem to be enough sleep for you. Yeah, it's not a lot of sleep. I really don't. I've never been able to sleep 8 hours. I usually sleep about, I'd say on a good day, 6 hours. Even when I have work off and everything off, I usually can't sleep very long and I get up in the middle of the night. And I'm going to go to the 253 mark and then I'll come right back.
And then I have this vision, imagine me pulling these cookies out of the oven and all of a sudden these cookies start to talk amongst themselves. There's a conversation of, hey, how did we get here? Hey, what's the purpose of a cookie's existence? One of them was a little burned on the bottom. You can see it right in the center of the pan. So I actually took it off and I threw it in the garbage. Now imagine if one of those oatmeal cookies said, hey, that's not fair. Did you see he just threw that guy in the garbage? Then all of a sudden another one pops up and says, speaking of not fair, well, what about me? I didn't get as many raisins as the guy next to me. And then another guy says, well, look at me. I'm not shaped perfectly round. And all of a sudden, all these cookies start debating over, what's fair, what's right, who got more of this, who's better, who's worse. And, what they're telling me what's fair about their existence and what I can and cannot do with them. Now, do you realize how ridiculous that would be if my cookies started just talking to me and imposing their values? Now, check this out. They don't exist outside of me. They were not sitting in the oatmeal bin and in the sugar bin and in the raisin bag saying, hey, guys, let's get together and create ourselves. They didn't say, I would like to have 10 raisins in me, extra plumpy. Well, I would like to have a little bit more brown sugar. I would like to have old-fashioned oats instead of the instant oats. I would like to have this much sugar, this much vanilla extract. They didn't have any say in their creation. My friend, neither did you and I. Listen, don't think that this silly example about oatmeal cookies isn't exactly true, and it isn't an exact illustration of what you and I do to God. I say, oh God, why me? How much longer are you going to let this happen? This isn't fair. I didn't do anything to deserve this. Why did you let my marriage end? Why did you take my kids from me? Why did you do this? Why do I have to not take a job? Why do I have to live like a pauper? Why do I have to be obedient till it hurts? Why do I have to walk in that courtroom without a judge? Why do I have to put up with this constant evil and harassment? Listen, I'm an oatmeal cookie. I have no existence. I have no meaning. I have no purpose outside of God's choosing for me to have meaning, purpose, and existence. Guess who else this is true for? You. God says, whom I created for my glory. We don't care about God's glory. We just get in our little shiny objects, drive through our shiny building, pursue our shiny dreams, chase our shiny bank accounts, and go crazy trying to pursue everything in life except for God. And then when something bad happens, we turn around and blame him. We impose the pot, saying to the pot maker, I mean, think about how ridiculous this is. Man, when I began to understand this, it gave me a whole different hope. And all of a sudden, I found myself shrinking before God, going, oh, God, you made me. You chose to make me. Oh, and God, you chose to reveal yourself to me. Man, can we just be thankful today that we're oatmeal cookies and that God chose to make us? Can we stop whining when some evil thing happens because we have turned from God and we don't worship God? We don't care about God. We take prayer out of our schools. We take him out of our government. We run from the very God who created us. We impose our desires. We impose our wants, our needs, our humanism, our relativism on life, and we say this is the way life is supposed to work. Can we just stop doing that? You and I, can we just be in agreement that every breath we have is a gift and we should be thankful for it, and we should say, oh God, thank you. Let other people be ignorant and obstinate and hard-hearted and evil, but let's you and I trust the God of the universe who can protect you and I when we walk into a movie theater.
I'm going to stop right there just because of time and it being a shorter chat. But thank you, Craig, for that link. And just a second, I'm reloading the chat on the screen. But I did like the cookie example that he gave, and I think it is a good example. And even just about, us, the creations, questioning the creator and trying to act as if we know more than him. And I did like how he brought up too just the emptiness and the lack of logic there really is to that. And let me see where I was with the chat. And Walk said, anyone else suffering from headaches lately? I feel like I was getting headaches for some time. Now I feel like it's more just like nausea, but is that something you'd like prayer about as well? And since I'm on the topic of prayer, anything that you guys want me to pray for, just be sure to mention it. About 7:50ish, I'll be sure to pray. And Perpetuant said, it's okay, just scan and pick out the comments you believe are worthwhile. You always do a great job. Thanks. And Yard Ape said, last year I changed my diet, 2017, but I lost 30 pounds in 2 months doing intermittent fasting every day. That's awesome. And Melissa wrote, do it. It's high and you get real close to the Most High. Perpetuant said, I think they're trying to move us to digital money and the chip into man-controlled evolution because evolution is a big lie with a little truth. Agreed. And TMF said, no worries, I drink coffee too. I'm sure most of us do. Yeah, coffee's too addicting. Hi, Understanding Conspiracy, or Paul, how are you? And I haven't seen you in a long time. I did notice, and I feel so bad because I right after your videos got taken down, or you took your videos down. I was gonna watch one of your videos and I put it to save, and then I came back and I'm like, where did his video go? What happened to his channel? And then someone in the chat brought up how you had left, or had stopped making videos for a while. And what is the Matrix said? I'm a peanut butter cookie. Walk said God knows the beginning and the end. He allows things for our own good. I know it's hard, but I have learned this the hard way. Very true. Paul said nothing better than 3 a.m. in the morning after waking up. Water. Yep, then you can't go back to sleep, and then if you're getting up at 4 or 5, it's like you can't sleep after that. Hi, the Limitless channel. Ronnie, how are you? I'm trying not to miss everyone's comments, but I'm like also trying to. You already said, what is the Potterverse? Potterverse? What is the Matrix said? Dazzling one will go to the store for oatmeal cookies after the stream. Oatmeal cookies do sound good, although right now I'm a little tied over from dinner. But they do sound pretty good. Oh, the Potterverse. I see what Yardape was talking about. Didn't catch the reference to the video. And Walk said, God is the potter and we are the clay. Very true. Melissa said, did I break a biblical rule by talking about my fast? I'm new to trying to live by the book. I know it does say in scripture that not, I think when it says not to talk about it, I guess not to use it as like a form of bragging. Like, oh, look, I'm on this fast. I'm so much holier. I'm so much more pious than you. But, I mean, just bringing it up because we were talking about fasting, I don't think it's breaking a rule per se. But I think it's more so to protect people from becoming prideful about it. Perpetuant said what he says is total truth, but lucky for us, he told us the reason we were created and what he expects of us and how to achieve it. 100% agree. I will watch it. And Paul asked, how's your job going, Dazz? That's crazy. I don't know if you saw my last couple of videos I've done talking about it, but there's a lot of, it comes with the job because you're dealing with people every day, but toward the beginning of the stream, I was talking about the shutdown and what I've been seeing with that. And there's a few characters that are reoccurring at the job that I've been figuring out how to deal with. This is off topic, but the one guy that I talked about in the last video I did and the one I did on my work life experiences that I called Fred, that's always like fist bumping me and staring weird. I was laughing because when I went to one of my community meals that I go to or soup kitchens to do my tabling, one of my coworkers came with me, and so he didn't show up the whole time, and I thought he wasn't going to come. And then, like maybe 10 minutes right before I was about to leave, he shows up, and he didn't notice me at first, and then he turned around and did. And she was laughing because she was like, there was one guy sitting there hunched over eating. There was another one standing there. And then I see his little head just sitting there, just staring at me with a big smile with love in his eyes. And I was like, just shut up. That's not funny. But like, I packed up that table so fast and got out of there before I got a fist bump because it's just so awkward. But for those who know what I'm talking about, you can follow the story. For those who don't know what I'm talking about, see the last, I think it was 2 weeks ago I mentioned it, and I have a couple of videos talking more about that. But I'm not going to get into it all right now. Walk said, the reason I asked about headaches is because I believe the things they are doing with smart meters and Wi-Fi are affecting people. That makes total sense. I definitely could see that. And I've been wondering, kind of like, because like I know I brought up the nausea thing. I feel like I ate something and I've never been the same since. I don't know if it's food poisoning. I almost feel like I have a parasite, which I don't think I have a parasite, but I'm just saying it feels sick. Like I don't feel very good. Or it could be something like that too. And Craig said, I'm a cookie. Perpetuum said, I hardly ever drink coffee, almost like never. It gives me the jitters. Only times that I used to be addicted to soda, 63 days without it, only water. This is one of the addictions that God freed me from. That's awesome. I need to be freed of all caffeine, but um, I'm still working on it. TMS said ditching soda alone is a big step, huge for your health. Definitely is. I will say I'm somewhat of a caffeine person. I love coffee, I love soda. I just, honestly, I said this before, I feel like I drink more calories than I eat. I feel like I can forgo, like, not eat as much food, but I like to drink a lot, which is the bad part. Paul said, sadly, I have to stop posting as my bosses found my channel and confronted me about it. Basically, said it breaks their social media policy, and I can't be a manager if I keep making videos. So I'm taking a passive role in the community until I'm free from my corporate overlords. That's fair. I mean, you gotta do what you gotta do, but glad that congrats on your managerial position. And, it's always good to see you in chats, and thank you for all your contributions that you've done before all of that, too. Craig said, hey, how come that cookie got more raisins than me? And the other cookie said, how come he's bigger than me? We are all God's creation. Cookies, lol. I mean, people really are like that. It's like, why are they taller? Why am I so short? They're yada, yada, yada. And Craig said, have another peanut butter sandwich cookie, please. And TMF said, stalker, aw, lol. Yeah, kind of. I mean, I've had a legit stalker, so I wouldn't put him on that level. But I guess he's my temporary one whenever he's at the events I'm at. But he does leave, and he doesn't talk a lot, so that's the good part. But I'm just always careful. Paul said, yeah, they had taken quotes from my videos and everything and said I could offend the staff if they find out, or they won't take me seriously. My views could upset gay stuff or Muslim stuff, blah, blah, blah. Makes sense. I mean, we live in a really PC world, and so a lot of things people would take offense to. And I didn't think your content was offensive. I mean, I guess it would be offensive to people with the opposite view, but I can definitely see why they did what they did, and that does really, I am sad that you're not able to make videos anymore, but it is good to see and hear from you. Only Time said, you're just like me, or like I used to be, drink a ton of soda and eat almost nothing. Yep, that's my problem. Honestly, I like Slurpees and slushies more than even soda, and those are even worse for sugar, but that's my problem is drinks. At least it's not like alcohol. Like, at least I'm not an alcoholic. I did, if I am going to drink alcohol, I do like it to be sugary. I don't like hard liquor or anything like that, but I don't really drink a lot of alcohol just because. Yard Ape wrote, this is how I lost all weight. No sugar or complex carbs. Sugar comes in a lot of many forms with many different names. You will feel awful for a week and have cravings for probably a month. I really commend you on that, Yard Ape. I really do. You're my hero for that. And I'm looking at the time and I realize it's like 7:53. And does anyone have any prayer requests before I get started? And I'll see if I can get ready to pray. And then if I have time, I'll try to address any of the last few comments there. I guess I'll just get started. So, Father, thank you again for another chance to come together and chat with everyone, and for seeing a lot of new faces as well as a lot of old faces, or I should say avatars, and screen names. And I just pray for everyone's health and well-being as well as for their loved ones. I pray for TMF's mom and just for her to recover from her diagnosis with breast cancer, and for her not to have to go through this medical system. But if she does have to go through it, that you would protect her and him from anybody trying to scam them or just any type of harsh therapy. I also pray for perpetuant that we'd all be true in God's eyes, and for Yard 8 that they'd be able to put their pride aside and come to God. And anyone else, pride is a huge thing for many of us. And I just pray to just get rid of all pride and just all selfishness in any of our lives. And I also pray about just the headaches that Walk's been experiencing and that anyone else has been experiencing, and any health effects from any of these smart meters and any of this technology that's assaulting us. And I also pray. And I also pray for what Melissa asked about people that assume they know someone from a chat. Sometimes people can feel like because they are constantly in a chat or something that they personally know them. And I just pray that just keep everyone safe too, because even online there can be a lot of predators, as there are offline as well. And I just pray for everyone who is just going through any type of hardship with this government shutdown, whether they're furloughed, whether they were laid off on the 21st, which seems to be a popular date to be laid off on, whether they're affected by contracting, whether they're living in a housing unit that no longer has supervision and they may now be evicted or foreclosed on because of this. I just pray for um, David and custody for his children, and just that you would give him favor in the court. And also I pray for him to find a home and a vehicle, and that he has health, energy, and sustenance, so he's able to accomplish your will, Father. And I thank you for just again everyone in the chat and everything. In the name of Jesus we pray, amen. And I hope that I got everyone's prayer request in there. If I did miss it, I apologize. And let me see if I can address a few other comments. I know we're in the last 3 minutes, and I see Melissa wrote, I'm excited but not prideful. The Bible does say that when you fast, not if you fast. It feels so good to finally be somewhat successful in following through with it. And that's awesome. What is the Matrix said? Modern day Pharisee, pseudonym for avoiding job conflict. And I see what is the Matrix was saying, and I think that's one reason too. A lot of truthers do stay off camera, do use screen names just for protection of those things. But sometimes, being on camera, showing your face, having your name out there, it can be more relatable. Sometimes people get out or doxxed, so it's hard. Perpetuant wrote, Dazz, you like guy folk? Just asking, are you one with a materialist? Is he not good looking enough, or he just sends you creepy vibes in the real? And I've written anything new. Do I like guy folk? Yeah, sure. I mean, like, I don't have a problem with, I guess is what you're asking. And I guess with him, it's just he's clearly mentally not all there, and he does act a bit creepy, but I mean, I guess, I don't know. And then he does send me weird vibes. I guess all of that is kind of true to some extent there. And have I written anything new? I'm working on some things that I'm editing from a while back, but as far as something like brand new, it's been a while. And Craig wrote, Dazz, I don't believe you're getting enough sleep. Too much caffeine is not good for you. Please work on your temple, please. And I'll try. I'll try, Dr. Craig. I'll try. And Paul said, thanks, Dazz. I'm still here following everything and staying in the loop. Someday in the future, I may be able to start again, but to be honest, not making vids has done wonders for my blood pressure. I bet. I mean, it's stressful at times, but it's awesome to hear that you've been able to rest and it's been positive improvements from there. And I see Eddie Forehand. And hi, Eddie. I know I'm at the top of the hour, and it was good seeing everyone. Again, sorry if I didn't get to everyone's comments, but it's always good talking to you all, and I hope that I can chat with you guys all next Monday. Hope everyone has a wonderful week. Take care, and God bless.